I think many of us owe our adult addiction to cool cars and high-performance cars all the way back to the 99-cent Hot Wheels car.
Look at those colors. It's Mattel's Hot Wheels flying colors, racy colors, with details so bold and colors so bright on 24 flying colors cars.
Out of sight! Out of sight!
Hot Wheels cars were fun because they not only gave you something to play with that went fast, but they look cool. You know, a lot of them had outrageous engines and stripes and wild colors and funky designs. And I think deep down for a lot of us that never really leaves. We always are drawn to cars like that. And we just finished up a project here at the V8 Speed Resto Shop that, to me, really harkens back to that really neat looking Hot Wheels car.
Show, go, they're new. Look what they do. They're cool.
This was a 1964 Chevrolet Corvette, and it arrived in our shop looking to get some upgrades done and ended up getting far more than what we were originally discussing. Now, trust me, I know the rules on Corvettes and modifying Corvettes. If you have an original Corvette, especially a mid-year from the 60s that has the numbers matching engine, transmission, color, and all the stuff that it came with, it's really in your best interest, if you're concerned with the resale value, to not mess with those elements. However, the original engine was missing. It was painted a different color. So a lot of those originality elements were long, long gone, which means you can do modifications to the car without having the guilt or the rigidity of making it original and correct and stock, right? So this particular car has an owner who is very creative, and I think he also has that yearning to have something cool, you know, like that little Hot Wheels car. Originally, this 1964 was blue, and I think it had a 250 horsepower 327 under the hood and the 4-speed manual transmission. All those Corvettes had 4-wheel disc brakes, of course, independent suspension front and rear, and that awesome design. One of the best looking body styles ever made, bar none. The shape is sleek. It's got some aircraft influences, you know, where the doors wrap into the roof skin. The headlights are hidden and they rotate. That rear comes to a point where the rear window comes down. The split bumpers. It's just an awesome, awesome design for a car. So when this car came to us, it was painted white. The interior was red, and it was halfway completed, and it was kind of a mess. It was scratched and chipped, and it had a lot of misfit panels, and it needed suspension bushings. And we removed all the original suspension and replaced it with some upgraded tubular pieces from Global West. The Global West control arms incorporate revised geometry, creating more caster, which means as you go down the highway at higher speed, it tends to track straight instead of having to correct all the time. The rear also has a composite transverse leaf spring. They've got the lower rear arms that have improved new bearings in them. So some really good suspension upgrades, bigger sway bars. We replaced the brakes. Pad technology has changed and all that. So by putting new hoses on it and the new brakes and new wheel bearings and all that stuff, we were confident this thing was going to stop, steer, and corner better. The customer really liked the red interior and he liked the white exterior, but he thought, you know what, this thing needs more. And he's a creative guy, and he came up with a design that he sent to us, and it was really striking. It's basically a 3-color design. It uses the white as the base, and then it used a red stripe coupled with a charcoal gray stripe that was asymmetric. So it didn't run straight down the center of the car. It's kicked off to the side. The stripes are different widths, and there's a pinstripe that goes around the perimeter, but not through the middle where the two red and charcoal come together. So there's a lot of elements in there that make it look like a race car, make it look like a full-size Hot Wheels car, make some people go out of their mind. Some people can't stand that asymmetric, and they can't stand that you modified a Corvette. But I think with the backstory on this car, we thought it was a pretty cool thing to do.
After a thorough exam, the exterior trim items were removed from the Corvette to start the body repair process. The car had some history of impact sickness, but the V8 team is well equipped to straighten it out.
Corvettes are great because they are glass fiber reinforced plastic, which we know is fiberglass. And fiberglass doesn't rust, which is good. The chassis underneath certainly can, so you might see a Corvette that looks really nice and think it's a fiberglass car, nothing to worry about. Peek underneath, because you got to make sure the chassis and what they call the bird cage is all intact. And on this car, it wasn't rusty, but it had demonstrated some previous crash damage.
Although fiberglass is a strong material, it's affected by age, vehicle stresses, and temperature, which can change the fit of the panels.
It seems like in hot and cold weather, the fiberglass does tend to move a little bit, and you can, you'll see ripples in it.
The best way to approach this was to just start block sanding the car. Just start block sanding the existing color, see how much we have to sand off for adhesion and for compatibility if we're going to paint new paint over it. But that also started to reveal high and low spots all over the car.
So when we got into this, we did notice that there was quite a bit of paint on this car. It was originally blue, and then it had been primed, painted white, and then primed again, and then painted white at another time. So the body itself had 3 paint jobs on it. But then when we did the headlights, we noticed they started off as black and then went red and then 2 white paint jobs. So this car has a lot of paint on it.
The more you looked at it, the more you found different details that needed to be addressed. But we were very happy that we took the time to address those and make the car fit the way it was supposed to.
A lot of steps are taken to make sure the car is straight and ripple-free.
You can't really, well, you can't hammer out a dent or pull a dent out. It's just, you basically almost have to remake what you're repairing. Use fiberglass, resin, fiberglass matting, and then you can put filler over that.
After the bodywork process, it got primed and blocked again, and it kept getting straighter and straighter and straighter until the day it came time to lay down that crazy color scheme.
When we got it, I thought it was pretty neat. It was going to be a fun, challenging project.
Once the ermine white base coat color is applied, Jeff begins the process of bringing the stripe design to life.
And that wasn't as easy as it might appear, because there's not a straight line on a 64 Corvette. Front to back, over the top, everywhere. The width of the car, everything changes on this thing.
Starting point was I found the center line of the body, basically went out from there.
We brought a laser into the paint booth and darkened the booth and shot the laser beam out over the car to kind of see what a straight line would look like. And the straight line is crashing into the door jambs, and it's not lining up with the windows, and I mean, it was just kind of all over the place.
To get it where it needed to be, it was going to go through the top of the door.
So we elected to fix it and made those stripes conform to the shape of the car.
To fool the eye a little bit, it is narrowed on the roof and on the rear of the car, just enough to where it doesn't go into the top of the door.
And by doing that, those stripes really worked with the shape of the car instead of against it.
I laid the red and the gray stripe as one piece together. And then I went back in and laid it out so that the red was the only thing that was going to be painted. So after the red was painted, I peeled the inside stripe out, but my gray outer stripe was still there. So all I had to do was basically mask off that inside stripe. I know it's confusing, but it's a lot of work. You almost have to think backwards.
He came in on a weekend so that he could focus 100% on getting this car right without having any other distraction. The detail level on the stripe job, I was very impressed with. Jeff was able to wrap the stripe design around the rotating headlight buckets and inside the cowl screen grille, and it was a very challenging tape job to get this all laid out. The last step of the paint process in the booth was to bury all those stripes and all that white paint in clear.
Tacked it off a couple times, wiped down with a water-based cleaner before I cleared it. Just made sure everything was really clean, because this is a one-shot deal.
And the clear really made that charcoal pigment pop. You know, everything looks flat when it's just base coat, but once you put the clear over it and it's a metallic color like the charcoal, things just come to life. You get to see all the little metallic particles. The red color got much deeper, and the white, the car looks like it was carved out of a bar of soap. I mean, it just looks like it's white all the way through, you know?
The V8 crew bolted on a set of Rocket Racing Fuel Series wheels, but added some detail to the centers to better match the car.
We cleaned the wheels and scuffed them, and then Jeff painted the center of the wheels in the charcoal of the body color so that all worked together. So there's a lot of little detail things of connecting the dots of color. And we were joking, if you put a circular number plate, you know, sticker on the doors and on the hood, it would look like a race car for sure. The engine was in pretty decent shape, so we didn't do a whole lot. We did add a Holley Sniper fuel injection to it, so high pressure fuel system and the fuel injection unit. And then again, a whole bunch of little mechanical repairs were done. I always like the cast aluminum fin valve covers of the day, but to kick that up a few notches, Jeff applied the same color scheme with another asymmetric stripe pattern right through those fins on the valve covers. So now, when you open the hood, that color scheme carries through, but again, it looks like it belongs. It looks like somebody thought about it and made it all work. So after this Corvette was wet sanded and polished, and all the trim was back on, and the new wheels and new tires, and it was all crisp and clean, and it was a traffic stopper. I mean, it just looked great. It just looked like a happy car, and it looked like something you wanted to drive and go play with. It looked like a big Hot Wheels car. So our team took that another step further, and Jeff actually took some time to paint a Hot Wheels car the same way as the real one. So he very carefully taped off some super tiny little stripes and painted the white and painted the colors on it, and it was fun. We presented the owner with the Hot Wheels car as well as the full-size version, and to me that kind of made everything just come together. You got it. You look at this car, you get it. I think it's around 400 horsepower with the 4-speed manual transmission, the fuel injection, the new brake suspension. It drives great. It still feels like an old Corvette. If you've driven one, you know what that is. So that experience is totally still there. It's the exterior that everybody sees and notices. So my advice is, if you're going to do a car like this, you either be prepared to tell the story, of what it is, because a lot of the Corvette purists, they'll turn their nose up at it saying you ruined the car. But most of the people that we talk to, when they're asking questions about it, you tell them, all the original numbers matching stuff was long gone, man. So it was an opportunity to have fun with this one. And it was not, like one of the 2067 L88 cars, which means do what you want, have fun. I'd really like to thank our team for putting the time in. Our interior shop did a lot of work on this one. Of course, the body and paint, the mechanical guys, the tuning team, and the guys that did the wiring and the fuel injection. A lot of work went in this car. And again, it started off coming to us basically for brakes and suspension, and ended up getting all this other stuff because the owner was having fun with it. And he enjoyed working with us and had a vision and trusted us to make that vision come to life. If you have some kind of cool car, some vision, some idea that you think would be really neat to get behind the wheel of, maybe you have a Hot Wheels car that you'd like to see become full size, we encourage you to contact us. You can reach us at V8Speedshop.com. We are always excited to talk about cool car ideas, and we really thank the owner of this one for trusting us and for letting us bring his vision to life.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.